clean house. Let's do that. Let's make this the clean house administration. Right? You've heard about this. Kash Patel is going to be leading the FBI, right? This is the new, or at least this is what we think. This is the new choice. Now, the left is, and I want to be clear about something. The left is losing their mind. We'll show you. They constantly complain about the cabinet picks and the lack of experience, right? You'll see this in all the leftist shows, podcasts. This is clown world. That's what they're trying to commandeer that now, trying to co-opt it. It's clown world. Look at these people. These people don't have experience. What they really mean is that these people are not embedded career politicians in the swamp. So if you believe that the only people who have the experience to work in government have to have worked in government their entire life, then I will say this. You are definitively opposed to the vision of this country. You understand that, right? Mm-hmm. You understand that this country was not meant to be built around career politicians and lobbyists and a revolving door of appointments and certainly people who are not elected. That's actually antithetical to the vision of this country. I just want to make sure that you understand that. So that is the reason that the left is furious about Kash Patel, and we'll get to his history in a little bit, which also makes him even more mad. So he was picked, I believe, on Saturday to be the FBI director, and here you will see the left's predictable meltdown.
We are learning more about Donald Trump's controversial decision to pick firebrand loyalist Kash Patel to lead the FBI.
Here comes Kash Patel again, somebody that I find it hard to believe Republican senators won't be deeply disturbed by.
How concerned should the media, should America be about this selection in your estimation?
Well, I think they ought to be very concerned. I think we ought to take Kash Patel at his word.
Well, look, I mean, there's certainly a infinite amount of picks right now that are bad that this administration has put in, and Kash Patel is among the very worst of it.
Okay, so he's among the very worst. Let's get to those reasons as to why he is among the very worst. And spoiler alert, you may actually think, well, that makes him the best. Exactly. So here's Trump posting about this on Truth Social. He said, I am proud to announce that Kash Patel will serve as the next director of the FBI. He'll serve. Kash is a brilliant lawyer, investigator, and America First fighter who has spent his career exposing corruption, defending justice, and protecting the American people. He played a pivotal role in uncovering the Russia hoax. I say Russia hoax because it's like Jan Brady. It's a good nickname. I say Russia 3 times. Standing as an advocate for the truth, accountability, and the Constitution. So now he actually will have 2 Indians in his cupboard cabinet. He's going to be very so tiny, yet mighty. Kash. That movie sucks, by the way, if you go back and watch it. It does not hold up. He did actually, by the way, serve. So this idea that he has no experience, he served in the Trump administration previously. He was a senior aide to the House Intelligence Committee. He was deputy director of national intelligence and chief of staff to Defense Secretary Chris Miller. Something that's interesting, too, they say loyalist. Well, you tell me if this is a virtue or if this is a problem. He was targeted with the Mar-a-Lago case, and he was offered immunity to testify and refused.
Yeah.
Think about that. And where we are is when you look at what they are saying, the left, is people like Kash Patel, which, by the way, Patel is like Smith for Indians. I know like 20 Indians with the last name
it's
Patel.
The Ramirez of the Indians.
Yes, Ramirez. Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel. This really does show you that there is a distrust of intelligence agencies and something needs to be done. You were once accused of being a conspiracy theorist or a radical extremist if you thought we needed to disband the FBI, if you thought we needed to completely restructure the FBI. Remember, that was considered mistrust in your institutions and basically treason, right? You were afraid of speaking out against that, or many people were, maybe not you right now, lest you be accused of insurrection. And here we are with people who represent that point of view in government. Isn't that a good thing?
Yeah. And by the way, who's he supposed to pick? Somebody diametrically opposed to his vision for the country? Like, the American people voted for Donald Trump and his vision for this country.
Yeah.
And honestly, you can't say, and you can argue about the pick, you can't say Marco Rubio is a loyalist. You can't say, like we said, Tulsi Gabbard is a loyalist. You can't say Robert F. Kennedy is a loyalist. These people have been outside of his sphere for a long time. They're not exactly people who have been tracking with Trump over the years, right? But they have a vision for what he has a vision for. So that works, and there's an alignment there.
Also, his resume makes sense. Deputy director of the intelligence?
Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah, they say he's inexperienced, but his resume lines right up, dude.
What I will say does not make sense, speaking of RFK Jr., is deep frying a turkey for Thanksgiving in tallow. I support that.
It's fine.
Without shoes.
Well,
did you see him do this? He's
wait,
like, I'm frying this in beef tallow. And then you look, you're like, you're not wearing shoes around boiling fat?
He said,
Oh, hot.
have you heard my voice? I'd rather go out if I can.
What are you drinking? The beef tallow? But as far as
Heroin for 15 years, Stephen.
you guys can take a victory lap. You out there right now. These picks are representative of you. When you add it up in hundreds of millions of views and tens of millions of you people, where you all, there was an outcry, said, yeah, you know what? We agree. We need to fundamentally change and transform our three-letter agencies. That was once considered a radical position. Now you have people who share your position because you made your voices heard in government. Actually, this is a flashback to me talking quite a bit about it on this show. I will not support anyone who does not have a plan in place to deal with our intelligence agencies. Some of them are good, and either disband or a very, very concrete plan. We talked about it with...
Is that the same shirt?
Is it the same shirt?
Wow, that might be.
It
looks like, yeah.
Like
it looks like he just took off holsters real quick.
We took the fig shirt gone for the dunce cap. And of course, CNN had to touch on this, and they're not able to comprehend it. Americans have a lack of trust for the FBI.
Well, there's a lack of trust in the FBI with the American people, and that's exactly what we saw with Donald Trump getting elected. And with Kash, I mean, he has worked national security roles. In fact, he was a prosecutor at the DOJ with the national security under Obama. He's worked with Democrats. He's worked with Republicans. Donald Trump wants change agents. And I think the fact that people here in D.C. insiders, people within the FBI perhaps don't want Kash is a really good sell to the American people.
I mean, yeah, that's exactly right. And then they went on to say, well, I don't know. We trust. Isn't it funny that those on the left, they support people in the military, they support people in intelligence agencies and law enforcement pushing pencils, but not those carrying guns? Who do you think has your best interest? Who do you think goes in for the right reasons? Someone who wants to, and I'm not saying that people can't serve their country at a desk. That's not what I'm saying. But when you look at the Comeys of the world, when you look at the Millies, people like that, hey, it's a little bit different from the boots on the ground, and they have very differing viewpoints. So here's some examples as to why you may not trust the FBI. We just talked about Hunter Biden and the selective prosecution. Don't know if you know this, but the FBI, DOJ, CIA, they all kind of go hand in hand in how they selectively prosecuted Donald Trump. So some reasons you may not trust the FBI, and some reasons you may want someone to head up the FBI and actually fundamentally change it as opposed to continue with the status quo. All right, remember James Comey refused to prosecute verifiable criminal Hillary Clinton.
Although there is evidence of potential violations of the statutes regarding the handling of classified information, our judgment is that no reasonable prosecutor would bring such a case.
Bullshit.
An unreasonable one, maybe.
There's so much evidence. We're not going to charge him.
Yeah. But instead, only a few years later, we're going to charge Donald Trump with fraud for devaluing, for example, for wanting to have a lower, so he could pay lower property taxes with Mar-a-Lago. And by the way, all of these involve our intelligence agencies. They're used as thugs. They're a thug enforcement arm of the government. Don't you want someone who wants to limit their scope and power? Let's just distill it to that. You want someone who wants the FBI to have all-reaching, world's most powerful genie power over everyone's life, where you can be you can be convicted of any. You realize any of you, if you're audited or someone looks into your background, they can find something. You want to be tied up in court, or do you want someone who's going to head up the FBI to say, you know what, we got to reduce this. We got to reduce the infringement of rights. Here's another reason you may not trust the FBI. Remember the Russia hoax, right? Russia, the Steele dossier, where Peter Strzok, Lisa Well, let's read some of these texts right here. They said, I want to believe the path you threw out for consideration in Andy McCabe's office, that there's no way he gets elected. I'm afraid we can't take that risk. They went on, they talked about how they needed an insurance policy. They talked about how they were going to be looking into election interference from Russia. When it was found that that wasn't the case, by any means necessary, let's make sure that Donald Trump cannot be eligible for office, or let's make sure that the public believes that this was the case. We know it was a hoax. We know it was fraudulent. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about that. It has been admitted. That doesn't change the fact that at that moment in time, they were working against the will of the American people. Something that we have a deep personal tie to, the Nashville Manifesto. Remember this? When the shooting took place in Nashville, radicalized transgender shooter on the day of trans vengeance. happened, and then no information. Kind of like the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. We still have no information.
Yeah, not sure about that.
The FBI specifically resisted any release of the manifesto, which people were demanding and crying out for because we wanted to know why these children were killed, why they were dead, and why we were sold a false bill of goods, as though this may be some kind of a white supremacist national, which is always what they do early on. And they go, oh, different gender pronouns. You know what? Let's just not talk about this. Kash Patel specifically commented on the FBI's overreach here and the Nashville Manifesto.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book.
FBI.
But who? That is that. I mean, there's.
Oh, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI. Just like the manifesto from the Nashville school shooting of the Catholic school.
Yeah.
We still haven't seen that, right? It's not the Nashville police or PD saying we don't want this out. The FBI airmailed into that operation and said this is not getting out.
And I say this because he's partially right there. He's partially wrong. You did see some of the Nashville Manifesto because of you. Your support, Mug Club, Rumble Premium. You can click that button and join. We're not able to do any of this without you. The only reason you've read anything from the Nashville Manifesto and seen the motivations of a radicalized leftist transgender shooter is because we did so in spite of threats from the FBI and intelligence agencies. And by the way, they pushed back after that. And they still have not released the remainder of the manifesto. We would love to see it. We were tarred and feathered in the media as sensationalists. At first, when we released the Nashville Manifesto, you may not remember this, the mayor came out and said the FBI was going to be investigating us, and then it wasn't true. At first, they said this is not authentic. Then they said, well, okay, it's authentic, but they shouldn't have it. Then they said, well, okay, it's authentic and they have it, but you know what? We're looking into if there can be an investigation and if we can sue Mug Club Undercover. You guys remember that? So thank you, and please do continue your support because we have some more stories in the coming year, and there's no way to make it happen without you. Here's just a flashback to when we dropped this story, and I'm glad that we have someone like Kash Patel heading up these agencies because maybe we'll get to the rest of it. We have for you today, exclusively here on Louder with Crowder, courtesy of Mug Club, first look at part of the handwritten manifesto of the Nashville shooter. Dark Abyss, Death Day, March 27th, 2023. Today is the day, yes. The day has finally come. I can't believe it's here. Don't know how I was able to get this far, but here I am. I'm a little nervous, but excited too. Been excited for these past 2 weeks. There were several times I could have been caught, especially back in the summer of 2021. None of that matters now. I'm almost an hour plus 7 minutes away. Can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm ready. I hope my victims aren't. My only fear is if anything goes wrong, I'll do my best to prevent any of the sort. God, let my wrath take over my anxiety. It might be 10 minutes tops. It might be 3 to 7. It's gonna go quick. I hope I have a high death count. Ready to die. Ha ha. Signed, Aiden. Almost seems like it would be relevant to the American public and certainly the families affected. So this is where we are. Look, Kash Patel, you're looking at Tulsi Gabbard, someone like RFK Jr., you're looking at these. Clean house. Let's do that. Let's make this the clean house administration. And you know what? For the first time in our lifetime, and I mean this, people have often said, and this is something I'm very excited about, and I want to know if you guys can sense this difference. We say, yeah, Democrats grow the government really huge and Republicans grow the government pretty huge, just slightly less, and they grow it in different ways. This may be the first time where, as opposed to the rule, which has always been government grows, we may actually shrink it for the first time in our lifetime when you're talking about DOGE, when you're talking about efficiency, when you're talking about looking at these systems that exist, these institutions. For years, decades, you were told, trust your institutions. For the first time, you have people who will be heading up some of these institutions who are entering into it with mistrust and the mindset of, what do we cut? What do we change? That's never happened. Republican or Democrat. And so keep your foot on the gas and keep these people accountable. I would love to see a budget, hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
I would love to see an entire restructuring of the FBI, CIA, DOJ to the point where, my God, there might be some actual accountability. Maybe some limits on how long people can be entrenched into these agencies. This should be the clean house administration. If nothing else, this should be the administration where, boom, chop, go to it with an axe. Hey, if you like this video, you should know that there are videos every day because they come from the full live show weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern. If you want more of a sample, you can click this video next to me. I don't know what it is. Could be a change of mind. Could be a debate. It could be one of my appearances on The View. Have your puke bucket.